Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Space Water Podcast here. Dive into the sound of the light here on the Space Water Podcast. We're live on a Sunday morning, October 13th. Actually, a very special date when it comes to apparitions related to the sun and Marian apparitions. We'll get into that as well today, but so many things to talk about that I can literally do podcasts each and every day. Welcome, Charlotte. But I've been working very hard on a lot of things privately over the last several weeks, everybody. So, um, starting today, I'm going to be doing more frequent podcasts, unloading some information. And also today, if you guys are in the New York, New Jersey area, I will have a booth at the Southern Pause Psychic Fair in Ringwood, New Jersey. So if you guys want to look that up online, or if you're in the area, you guys can hit me up privately as well, and I can always give you more information. But I posted it up on my Facebook account. If you guys want to go see the posts, it's up on my Facebook. You can find it. It's in Ringwood, New Jersey, and it's called the Southern Pause Psychic Fair. They'll have different booths. I actually think they're psychics. I'm not doing the. They asked me if I wanted to do both. I didn't want to do both. I'm going to be one of the vendors there. So the Mystical Spiral store is going to have a booth there. Welcome people in the chat room joining Charlotte Knight and a story. I'll give you guys shout outs when you pop up in the chat room as well. This is the Space Water Podcast where we dive into the sound of the light. And of course, we are sponsored by the Mystical Spiral Store.com. And oh my God, we got so many things to talk about, everybody. I don't even know how many. Oh man, that's why I said we got to break it down. I'm gonna have to do a series of podcasts because we had so many things recently transpiring in the cosmos. And if you guys want to go on my Patreon, patreon.com/the mystical spiral is where I give a lot of updates, cosmic updates on my spirit flame news on Patreon. Well, we had Darlene, what's up, Darlene? So we had September 22nd equinox. We had the Pleiades was occulted by the moon for a couple hours. Then on September 29th, we catch one of the near Earth objects out of nowhere, this mini moon asteroid. And we're going to get into that because wait till you guys see the solar markings and symbols that are exactly the same on all these near Earth objects. I don't know if you guys have looked into it or not, but I have a couple examples for you guys to see. We'll pull up some pictures. And then we had on September 29th, that's when that mini moon started. And I think that's going to go until about late November. And then October 2nd, we have that annular solar eclipse that was like in the Easter Island area. And we're going to get into this as well, guys. If you've been following my work, you know that I've been talking about how the most ancient races and tribes that we have record of on the planet, the Asura and Deva tribes, where all of these ancient cultures that we speak about derived from, right? They built their most special temples in volcanic regions. And these were sound temples, right? Tapping into the sound of the universe, the stars and suns, the literally information that's coming through the sound, right? And it's being sent through electrons and through the plasma waves, right? There's all music being broadcasted throughout the universe, right? Every star and sun is broadcasting its own music, and volcanoes rise from the sounds of suns. Literally, the information that's being sent from the sun is opening up cracks in the earth and rising volcanoes out of the sea and things like this, right? It's all through sound. And temples were built to do this, to raise new life, to start new uh, to bring new life up out of the sea, to bring new land up out of the sea, to start a new worlds and stuff like that. They were used for the most crucial times, some of these temples, right? And many of them have been buried and long forgotten for certain reasons to reemerge when the cycles call for it, right? And some of the most ancient Kabiri races and the Asura and Deva tribes, they built all of their sacred temples in these volcanic regions. That's why Easter Island, that's a volcanic island, ancient volcanic island. There's a reason why those statues and those megaliths and all are built there, right? They're literally embedded with solar information, solar sigils, just like the asteroid near Earth objects that are broadcasting building blocks of life that they're carrying inside of them. They literally have organics in there. They have amino acids. They have all sorts of ancient bacterias and DNA embedded within asteroids, right? It's incredible. And I think it's called 2024 PT5 is the mini moon that we have right now. It's about, I think, between 30 and 36 feet wide, maybe even 33 feet wide. And October 2nd, we had that solar eclipse in Easter Island. And then we're going to get into what I feel is transpiring, that ancient DNA is returning. Ancient ones, if you want to say, are returning, and they're being brought here through these near Earth objects, through the solar wind. And we got some interesting things to get into tonight. Once again, this is the Space Water Podcast. Hold on, let me get some water. This is the Space Water Podcast. My name is Castaldo, and here we dive into the sound of the light. And we are sponsored by the Mystical Spiral Store.com. You guys can check out my website right here. We got so many new products for you guys. I hope the sound is good. I'm using the mic. We got all new products, guys. So I'm going to be doing a booth today in Ringwood, New Jersey. So if you guys want to come on down, I'll give you special deals as well. But you guys can tell every day I put new products on. We got some of the most badass pendants for you guys. You guys need the shungite and twisted tensor coppers for EMF protection. I have collector's grade shungite that you can't find anywhere else. Big pieces as well, like this bad boy. And these are collector's grade shungite, and it has rainbow. Guys can see the rainbow on this. Look at that. Really badass, big ass pieces of shungite. And these are the most powerful for EMF protection that you can get. And I have all price ranges as well. I have shungite and copper and shungite silver copper for 40 from all the way up to $40 to this price here. So all price ranges that you can get. Incredible. I would not pass these up. These ones all have rainbow on them as well. All these big ones. Pretty much all of them. Yeah, see? This one's got rainbow on it too. Yeah, you could see the rainbow. And these are big pieces of shungite. I highly recommend everybody to get a shungite and tensor coil. They're even more powerful than the regular copper coils around them. I have shungite ones that are, if you guys want all price ranges, I have these ones for $37.99. You can get the smaller ones that are wrapped in the silver coil, and this one even has rainbow on it as well. So you guys have all price ranges available to get your. You're not seeing the shungite? Oh, wait. I thought I was sharing the screen. Let me see. Thank you for telling me. Hold on, let me fix this. Oh, I see why. Here we go. So we got all price ranges for the shungite. These are the smaller ones. You can get these for 37.99, right? And it's got rainbow on it and everything. And you could get the more powerful ones, the more high-end ones for check these ones out. These are very rare. You can't get this type of shungite anywhere else either. Try to find it. It's going to be very hard. Check this shungite out. Look at how monstrous this piece of shungite is. And you guys can see the rainbow on it. See that? Look at that beautiful rainbow on that shungite. This is a big piece. This is collector's grade elite noble shungite, and that's wrapped in over 44 inches of silver coated copper. So to give you guys a a breakdown of how much copper goes into that piece, and so it's silver coated copper. Those ones, yeah, these have 44, a little bit over 44 inches. It's two royal cubits in that of the twisted silver copper. So we got all price ranges available, and literally, these are the most powerful you can have for EMF protection wearing around your neck. And I got all different ones. These all have rainbow in it. These big ones right here. And these are lifelong companions, man. As long as you don't mess it up or, lose it or pull it apart or whatever, but they'll last. They'll last a very long time. We got opal. Like I said, we got all price ranges available too. Even if you guys want the regular coils, you want it. This is also tensor coils here. The copper around quartz. Highly recommend them. And all my crystal skulls are going quick. The little ones went really fast. These were all recently bought, but I just put some more up. The mini dragons, these are all hand carved by me and the Mystical Spiral team. All my new ones, and the golden healer dragons are just next level, everybody. They're awesome for psychic protection. And from New York here, these Herkimer diamonds. I'm starting to put them up now. I have a whole bunch of very rare Herkimer diamonds, and these are pretty big size as well. I highly recommend the Herkimer. It's one of the most rare and highly sought after types of quartz in the world. And these are ethically sourced, hand sourced right from us here in New York. So you can't go wrong. Look at that. Has the penetrator growth. It's like a cluster on there. Beautiful. I got all different Herkimers as well. These are all like they have the double termination. Anastory, Chloe, Darlene. What's up, Darlene? And Charlotte, what's up, guys, in the chat room? All right, we're going to get started in a second. I was just waiting for some people to join. I don't know if people are getting the messages out there, but we got about 10 people in the chat. We're going to get started. You guys can see the beautiful Herkimer diamonds here. I might have to put the weights up on these ones still. But I got all different sizes if you guys wanted the Herkimer diamonds. I could show you some that will friggin' blow your guys' mind of the Herkimers. But we got whatever you guys need. Let me know. We can make private invoices if you guys want your own custom made skulls or whatever you want. We got it for you here at the Mystical Spiral store. So today, also October 13th, like I mentioned earlier, it's a very special day when it comes to solar sightings, experiences that have to do with the sun, like Fatima, right? The miracle of the sun at Fatima. Oh, it was taking place on not just October 13th, but the 13th of the month for many months it took place. And you have like the apparition of the Japan Akita, I think it was called Akira or whatever her name was. She had the apparition, and even I think Knock Island might even be related to the 13th as well. And we're going to get into some of those so-called Marian apparitions and how I feel they're related directly to the sun, and the sun literally sending certain people, certain bloodlines, certain people that are open, directly sending them messages and warnings of what's to come on the planet. And I do feel we're culminating, it's culminating to an event that's going to transpire most likely in 2025. And many other people have talked about it. Even the Theosophy Society and Alice Bailey talked about 2025. And I do think it's going to be a solar event. And we damn near had one yesterday on the 10th. Instead, we just got all these auroras instead of a blackout all across the planet. But we can have a solar event that can change life on this earth as we know it. And it's happened before on the planet. It's definitely happened before. Things go in cycles. And it's talked about in all mythologies and ancient cultures. In fact, I'm not trying to toot my own horn in any way, but there's a reason why I haven't been doing many podcasts lately because I've been working on my book, and I have been deciphering ancient writings and mythologies that scholars have been debating about for hundreds of years. And it started with the universe just showing me the origins of certain symbols within ancient cultures that we have been debating about, like the ankh and the pasha of Hindu. These are the CMEs that you're speaking of in the chat room, right? This is one of the most sacred symbols that we have in cultures. When we see the golden hooded naga, this is represented by the solar coronal loop that you see behind me right there, this ankh, right? That is a coronal mass ejection, right? I've talked about this, and many, many years I've been staring at these, and the universe finally spoke to me one day and showed me that, that this is very simple too when you look at it. It's for those that are new to my channel, I'm going to go through it. I've talked about it before, and we're going to go much deeper into all these symbolisms as well. Like right here, these are not just stands for flowers that people translate these out. You see this structure, how it comes to a funnel or cone, right? This is the way light flows, solar wind flows, plasma flows. This is the way supernovas explode that shape, right? And all of this radiant funnels that you see, these are just metaphors for something much deeper, right? This is the kind of structures that form to broadcast the sound of the light in the universe, right? When you see a supernova explosion, a gamma ray burst, structures form within the plasma to channel and beam that light, and these structures form, right? And when you see the arms of the sun handing down a loop, right? They're talking about coronal mass ejections, right? They're talking about coronal loops, solar prominence, all the names that we have, solar flares, right? And you see that's the naga, the golden cobra right there, right? When you see that solar loop form, that's like the golden hooded cobra, right? They call it the uraeus in Egyptian, or the solar asp, or the basilisk in Greek. But that hooded cobra is representative of the golden loops, the coronal loops of the sun. And these right here, that those funnels form, those arms of the ankh, I do believe are plasma cones, and most likely in the center, right? When you have in the center here That's where the sun would be. And you have all these cones, plasma cones coming out of the sun and the big coronal loop. It's all solar symbolism. They're being carried by solar kings. You got to look at the context, right? They're being wielded by solar deities, right? And when you have supernova explosions, certain structures form to channel the sound of the light, right? And I'll show you guys what I mean by these structures. Hold on. Yeah, so you guys can see. So this is just from the Crab Nebula. Well, these are some two right here. This is two different pulsars from supernovas, right? You have the Crab Nebula supernova and the Vela pulsar. These are pulsar waves, right? Pulse, and you could see these conical funnels form like bells, right? This bell structure that forms, and they form to channel the light, to beam the light, right? And these structures are talked about by all the solar deities, right? These structures are also represented by lotus flowers. All right, wait, am I sharing screen? Hold on. I don't know if I'm sharing screen. All right, here. This is the Crab Nebula pulsar that you see on the left here, and this is the Vela pulsar that you see on the right. All right, and you guys can see these are bell-like structures. Tell me you guys can see it. All right, yeah. All right. So, and they're there to broadcast. What do I mean by the sound of the light? Well, the plasma, the bursts of plasma that's being sent, that's it's there's music, right? That's vibrational sound frequency there. It's all it's all sound as well, right? There's information, and they're literally manufacturing all the products of life. Everything that we have in our bodies, calcium, oxygen, everything that's going on is being bursting out of that supernova explosion. And you can see this structure, this bell-like structure, is shown in almost every, I would say 90% of symbolisms that we see in cultures will have this structure. And I can give you guys so many examples. First, let me go back for a minute. So this is just one of the Egyptian goddesses, right? Now, the staff that you see that she's carrying, these are goddesses that have to do with light, right? A lot of times you'll see the feather of moth, right? Or the ostrich feather that you see, right? This sometimes they translate it as harmonic or harmony and balance, the feather of moth, right? This actually is an ostrich feather as well. They use for the symbolism. Now, what does an ostrich feathers do on an ostrich? They regulate the temperature and they regulate the amount of light that the ostrich is receiving, right? So that's the symbology that we have. These are stars, suns that these goddesses and gods are representing. And you can see that it's literally talking about the same structures that form to broadcast the sound of the light. And they have these in all religions, all cultures, these symbolisms, right? This is just one little example. You can see even, let me show you. Hold on. That that shape is also the way, see this bell shape funnel? This is the way light is sent out. That structure forms within the plasma, this bell-like funnel. You see? Like this is an artistic rendition of that same shape, right? So like in my notebook, just this is like a rendition of, I'll show you guys. Many of the Egyptian walls will have something like this, right? Just as it's like a little sketch, you see, where people translate it as flowers that it's holding, but they're actually not. They're those conical structures, right? And it's not just in Egyptian, it's in all cultures. All cultures. The stupas are shaped in that when you have stupas in Vedic and Hindu and Buddhism, all those stupas are shaped in that same structure as well, right? When you have like a and these structures form in all types of ways when it comes to light, even in lens flares. You see coming down these bell-like structures that form. You see blue here, this blue bell-like structure. It's literally channeling the light. These bell-like structures, see how it forms this bell, and that's just from a lens flare. You see how they form these structures just in lens flares. This is the way light and the sound of the light is channeled by the sun, right? Even stupas are made in these bell-like structures, right? And these are sound temples. It's intense. And here's where I'm back into Vedic and Hindu. You guys can see that the ankh is much older than the Egyptians. I've showed this before for those that follow my work. This is Varuna, and Varuna is holding twisting twisting cords that form those loops. And this is the golden pasha that Varuna wields. Varuna is the god of the solar ocean, and one of his weapons is the pasha. That's a golden noose of the gods, a golden noose that lassos souls and pulls them into the solar waters. Also, Ganesha uses this golden noose to remove the evil on earth, and it's a golden noose that's coming from the sun. And when you see multiple arms on a deity, that's the many rays of the sun, the many arms of the sun, and the different attributes and weapons that the sun wields in each hand, right? And even that shape here, right? Those water jugs, those all those lotus symbolism is all that bell shape. And these are certain structures that form to broadcast the light of the heavens. And now we're going to get into the near Earth objects real quick. You guys are going to love this. Now, we have a whole bunch of near Earth objects, right? And these near Earth objects, they are literally holding these asteroids, the building blocks of life. Some of them have very ancient amino acids and organics inside of them. And I have been doing sort of meditations, viewings, and a lot of information has been coming to me about these. I don't know how much I can even talk about on YouTube. And remember, this is for entertainment only. This is not any medical information. This is not any information for anybody to make any decisions about. This is for entertainment only. This is for you just to do your own digging. But I have looked at some of these near Earth objects. Also, before we get into that, this is one more example. Look, right? This is a supernova explosion, and you can see those structures form. Right? This is 1987A, the supernova, very important supernova that's changed our world. In 1987, a shift took place. That's because of the energy and information that we were getting from the light of a supernova from that far away. And you can see these bell-like funnel-shaped structures form to channel the light, right? To broadcast the sound of the light, to broadcast the space border. right? Now we have all sorts of near Earth objects. You can go on NASA's website, NASA's Eyes, and they'll give you a breakdown of all these near Earth objects. Now, the probability of just two near Earth objects to have almost identical markings on them is astronomical. It's almost impossible. All of all the random objects that are floating around the universe, the probability of two near Earth objects just to be near Earth having identical markings on them is it's like I said, it's nearly impossible. Not only do two near Earth objects have identical markings on them, all near Earth objects that I checked, and I checked about 2 dozen. I'm going to show you guys just two of them today on this podcast to show you what I'm talking about. And what came to me that these can be called like literally the solar sigils of God. They are broadcasting solar instructions that have to do with solar orbits and massive coronal mass ejections that are going to be sent to Earth. And they are going to be unleashing maybe ancient DNA to this planet. Maybe ancient uh, beings might be returning from this, right? They are holding ancient DNA, all the building blocks of life, and they're set up in orbit around Earth. And we have a mini moon that started on September 29th. We're going to show you that one first, right? That's called 2024 PT5. Literally came out of nowhere. We just discovered it. And it's now our mini moon from September 29th to like November 25th. And it can't be seen with the naked eye. It can't even be seen with your home telescope. You need a professional telescope because it's like 33 feet in diameter or whatever, 33 feet long. But it's from the Arjuna constellation. I mean, the Arjuna asteroid belt, which is a near Earth asteroid belt. It's not the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter that we know about. It's another smaller asteroid belt that has very similar orbits to Earth's orbit. These near Earth objects, right? And Arjuna itself, right? Arjuna was a solar hero from the Mahabharata that shot his arrows, his solar arrows, right? That has to do with coronal mass ejections itself, right? And the thunderbolts of the sun, right? Well, I looked up 2024 PT5 and I saw these incredible markings on 2024 PT5. Look at these markings. You have almost like concentric overlapping circles. And this shape, too, this snowman shape, is the same shape that certain structures in the Kuiper Belt are built in. Now, these markings, these very peculiar markings, are not just craters that they probably would say they are, some sort of craters. They look like even parabolic dishes, some sort of sigils, some sort of symbols, right? These same markings are on all near Earth objects that I checked out. Now, this is PT5. There's hold on. There's all different ones on PT5. All different ones on PT5. You have like I think even 3 in one point. Look, yeah, this is another angle on PT5. Look at this. You have looping. Now, this looks like a sun with coronal loops coming from it. It also looks like orbits or something like that. These do not look like regular craters, right? Now, look at these symbols on here, right? You see these rings, overlapping rings hooking into each other? Now, I'm going to show you another near Earth asteroid, right? This is another near Earth asteroid. This is Donald Johanson. Look at what's on Donald Johanson. The same exact markings. The same exact markings, not just similar, the same exact markings on Donald Johanson. That's just two. I checked about 20 near Earth objects, and every single one of them had these same interlocking rings that look like coronal mass ejection loops as well, right? When you have coronal mass ejection loops, all right, let me go to let me go back. You guys can see those marks. It's incredible. Now, the what's a good way? Gun. Let me see a good. See, this is the sun. These are the coronal loops coming from it. Is the same overlapping circles, right? And you have those rings that go ring into each other like that. I mean, they look like solar instructions from God, and they feel like solar instructions from God. They feel like they're talking about specific instructions that the gods are wielding. Solar loops, right? They might even be orbit instructions, but they're solar sigils of the universe, right? And when you have these coronal loops that come out like that, look at these are all different coronal loops. These are the ankhs, right? When you have all of these going on like that, these are the hooded cobras of the naga, right? These are the hooded cobras of the naga. They're solar, they're a solar race, the naga, right? And they have the solar fire coming out of them. They're hooded cobras for a reason. That's the hooded cobra rising off of the sun, right? And you can see the symbolism with the hooded cobras, right? With the bell-shaped lotus they're coming out of always, right? They even have the cup, the cup of libations, that's that bell shape or cup shape. The chalice shape is that same shape as the bell, right? That symbolism of the chalice, it comes from that, right? When you have like, you know, the naga and these are twisting magnetic field lines that form the coronal hood, the coronal loop, right? This is all in the symbolism. And you see, these symbolisms, see like the chalice here, this is the bell shape. The lotus, the bell shape, that's because it's broadcasting the light. The candle flame is a representation of the plasma, right? These are all solar symbolisms, my friend. And the lyre, right? This is the sound of the light. You see this is the lyre, the harp, right? This is representation of solar symbolism. Look, this all has to do with coronal loops. And these near Earth objects are set in place, giving the universe solar instructions about what's transpiring, right? Right as soon as that near Earth object came, right? Right as soon as that near Earth object came, we started getting intense coronal loops, right? When we got our mini moon, right? We started getting intense coronal flares, solar flares, coronal mass, and our whole planet's been flooded with them, right? I seen them in New York. So how can you have PT5 and Donald Johansson have the same similar markings on it? The mathematical probability of that is beyond comprehension. That you would have even two objects in the whole entire universe having similar markings. It would be like it couldn't happen. Let alone two objects being right near Earth that have those same markings. Come on, people. Right? Come on. Now, these structures, like I said, they hold. This is not some woo woo type of statement here. This is a fact. These objects hold all the building blocks of life. And these symbols almost seem like parabolic dishes at the same time that are broadcasting solar instructions. They might even be broadcasting the ancient DNA that they hold within it, right? And I feel like what came to me too. I'll actually tell you guys what came to me. I was when I did the last podcast, the Space Water podcast with Gary Wayne. I couldn't really bring it up because like I have Gary Wayne on and I talk about his research and how it relates to my research, but I don't like to get into personal experiences when I have the certain guests on, right? There's a reason why I brought up certain topics with Gary that had to do with the battle of the 10 kings, the solar kings, right? And the bloodlines of the Asura and Deva, because these bloodlines I strongly feel are returning and they are being brought here through the plasma, right? Through the plasma waves, through the solar wind, through this, they're traveling this way. And they might even be traveling on near Earth objects. And I've been tracking certain things that was coming to me. And on September 12th, we had a bridge with Jupiter's magnetosphere and our magnetosphere. And I literally was getting dreams, visions, all sorts of just gnosis coming to me while I was doing research, just things coming to me about it. Just thoughts would just pop in my head about it, where some kind of ancient force, let's put it that way, traveled from the plasma volcanic bursts of Io, the moon of Jupiter. Now, because Jupiter's magnetosphere doesn't form, the shape of it and everything doesn't form because of the solar wind like ours does. It forms because of the spin of Jupiter, and the plasma that it gets in it is mostly from the volcanic bursts of one of the moons of Jupiter. It's very, they call it the plasma torus of Jupiter. Right? I talked about it in one of my other podcasts. Now, that volcanic environment of Jupiter's moon, it's related to the volcanoes on our planet as well, right? Don't think it's not related. They are related, right? And they're literally developed by ancient forces of God, right? This is how new life is brought to the planet, right? This is how new land is brought up from the sea, right? These volcanoes are opening up from the sound of the sun as well, creating these, right? So like I said in earlier in the show, the volcanic temples all around the planet are related to bringing volcanoes up out of the sea, raising them, receiving the music from the sun, and broadcasting it within the waters on our planet and within the atmosphere of our planet to rise up volcanoes out of the sea. Temples were built in strategic locations by the ancient Asura Deva, the Kabiri, the Nephilim, however you want to call there's all different names for these ancient tribes, right? And you had also, and I'm going to do a short that probably will go viral. People, one of the most ignorant, misinformed things out there that that a lot of people believe in is about the ancient Aryan races. Aryans are not white. Everybody thinks that Aryan means pure white brotherhood or something like that. Yeah, there were Aryan tribes that were white, but the Aryans were the most diverse ancient culture, worldwide culture that we know about. There's very Hindus come from Aryan. Persians come from Aryan. Sanskrit is Aryan, right? Buddhism derived from Aryan. These guys are far from white, right? Hindu is Aryan. Right? The Thracians were a diverse culture. They're Aryan. Yeah, the Druids were white. They were Aryan, but also Egyptians come from Aryan, right? They're far from white. All of these come from Aryan. Persian, Assyrian, all of these, Phoenician, all of these different tribes, right? All of these different places had to do with ancient Aryan tribes. The Asura and Deva tribes were Aryan tribes, right? So when people talk about Aryans being just means pure white, that's very misinformed. Yeah, there were white tribes of Aryans, but there also were very dark tribes of Aryans as well, right? And these are ancient solar bloodlines that have to do with the Asura and Devas. And I do feel that an ancient energy, maybe even a return of a Christ type energy, something like that, was brought here in a process, right? September 22nd, September 22nd, we had um the Pleiades was occulted by the moon. Now I feel during those 2 hours, that was a very important time, right? During that occultation of the Pleiades, we could have had something brought here, transported from the Pleiades, right? And then on September 29th, we have a mini moon asteroid, a near Earth objects. This one, 2024 PT5, becomes our mini moon, right? Now, maybe it's possible that this asteroid could be broadcasting something or transporting something to our planet while it's a mini moon. It's here for in a specific mathematical orbit for a specific amount of time. We know when it's leaving. We know when it arrived. It's only here for a short period of time. And in my opinion, there's nothing random about this. This is not just happening by accident. These are specific mathematical instructions by God or forces that might be even using the technology of God, right? So we have on September 29th, we have the mini moon starts, right? That process. And then we have October 2nd, we have the solar eclipse that's in Easter Island, right? All this stuff transpiring. Then we have this big comet that's passing right now. This is all happening while we're getting the most intense solar storms that we've had in decades, right? So we have these NEOs, right? These NEOs, these near Earth objects that have mathematical orbits and they're carrying the building blocks of life. They may be very well carrying ancient DNA, RNA, bacteria of the ancient solar kings, the Asura and Devas, with they're mathematically like they're time coded. They're time coded with ancient knowledge. And that ancient knowledge is being opened up by the pounding force of the sun, the roaring solar storms, the howl of Rudra in the Vedic writings. Rudra the howler, Rudra the weeper. These solar storms are literally opening up the information within the near Earth objects. And it's pouring into the planet in plasma in aurora form. And it's a musical dance that's upon us. We are being reseated. And usually it's going to be a wild ride for this to happen. Right. And this is not, this is not strange to the planet. I mean, we even have stories in the Bible of literally a battle of solar kings, a battle of solar storm priests, right? There's many showdowns of prophets, and these are solar prophets, like shepherd kings. These are all solar symbolism, right? Uh, Ancient cultures. I mean, Moses has a showdown. Saint Patrick and the Druids, there's stories of him having a showdown, right? But the very famous one in the Bible is with the priest of Baal, and the prophet Elijah. And the prophet Elijah is a solar storm king, he's a solar prophet, just like Baal or Baal. He's a storm god, but he's also a solar god, right? A solar storm god. Remember that. These are solar deities, but he's the storm of the sun. This is what Baal means, even Elagabalus. These are solar storm deities that even worship the meteors. Remember, so they worship these stones for a reason. Most uh tribes that worship the black stone also were solar tribes, right? Right? Even in Russia, it's common for people to say, Prophet Elijah, protect me every time they hear a thunder strike or something like this, right? Also, it's common to pray to Saint Elijah for the rains of the crops to come, right? For the sun, right? And the feast of Saint Elijah is July 20th, right? Where they consecrate lambs before eating them, right? This is all solar worship, right? The ring dances that they do to the sun. Even King David in the Bible does a dance that's related to the solar dance, right? We'll get into that as well. But yeah, Elijah is very interesting because in Slavic they even have like the god of the thunderstorms, Perun, right? Perun is the master of the fire of the heavens, right? And he wields the sacred fire of the sun, just like Rudra the howler, Rudra the weeper, that brings the sound of the light, right? In Slavic mysticism, you have Perun, right? And the prophet Elijah is thought to embody the same being in Slavic mythology, right? Perun and the prophet Elijah are one and the same, basically. Have you have you know Elijah, the prophet Elijah plays one of the most incredible roles in the Bible, right? In the Holy Bible. And it's also a mystery to Christians, you know, with these two prophets in the Bible, right? And in even in Hebrew writing with that elaborates more with Enoch is Elijah and Enoch, right? Who were taken by the heavens, taken by God, right? And these are so-called in Christianity they say they didn't die a normal death, these two men, that they were, or maybe they weren't even men at all, who knows, but or their names, or, you know, maybe they're sort of titles for solar phenomenon, cosmic phenomenon, right? Elijah, just like Perun, controls the fire from the heavens, the fire from the stars, the fire from the sun, right? In the Holy Bible, there's a well-known story out there in the book of Kings. If you guys are familiar with it, you've probably heard of it, where the prophet Elijah literally challenges the priests of Baal, the priests of Baal. And it's a contest uh not, to like end the drought. It's similar to Indra when he defeats the solar waters being released, Vitra to release, he defeats religious to release those waters and bring a cleansing or renewal on earth. Well, the prophet Elijah has a contest where he's calling down fire from the heavens, right? To magically set the altar of Yahweh aflame, ablaze, right? It could mean spiritually, it could mean physically. But remember, the plasma is it's sometimes not seen with the naked eye when these solar flares and solar, right? This could be some sort of fire that's being brought down from the sun, right? The priests of Baal, they first have a go at this, right? The solar rain, right? Right? The priests of Baal, and they fail miserably. But the prophet Elijah only has to utter a sound, a single word. And this is he summons and brings down fire that descends from the heavens, right? And consumes the altar of Yahweh. And then after he beats the priest of Baal, there's a huge rainstorm that comes from the waters, right? From the cosmic waters and renews the land, right? I feel this is a solar water storm. This is a solar storm from the waters, and it's being mistranslated, right? Knowledge within the symbolism has been lost, and but people like me, we're ancestral scribes awakening, And I'm bringing back some of these secrets, right? So we can understand what we're up against now. And Prophet Elijah, in my opinion, calls the priests of Baal to the contest knowing a solar storm was arriving, right? It takes a couple of days for a solar storm to arrive. I think intuitively he was aware of this. And I feel he used a certain sound or a certain, maybe not even a word, a certain sound to align with the sound of the fire that's coming from the sun. And he formed some sort of pillar or tunnel or funnel of light to channel it to the altar of Yahweh. And I feel like, Elijah opening a doorway in the magnetic shield, sort of, right? Maybe even he called to the certain area where there is a doorway, a breakthrough in the magnetic shield, right? And they tried to bring armies to face Elijah, and he draws down fire from the sky and incinerates them. It wasn't just over with the priest of Baal. I mean, they sent armies after him and he incinerates these armies from the fire that he brings down from the sky. And when Elijah's mission on earth is complete, a fiery chariot descends in a whirlwind and it's drawn by horses of fire to carry him away to the starry heavens. Right. So, what are we talking about here? These fiery chariots, horses, this is all solar symbolism, right? They're talking about a solar flare, the golden noose of the gods talked about in Hindu and the Vedas, lassoing souls and pulling them into the celestial waters. This is the same story of Ganesha and Varuna, right? And this is how Elijah left the earth. He didn't die. He left in a fiery chariot. And Enoch was also taken, but they say he said to walk with God, so-called walk with God. So Christians com- consider that those two never died a normal death, and they might be returning in the ends times. You know, they have these solar deities in all cultures. I mean, and they're very similar symbolisms. I've talked about them before, but that's just one example, just in the Bible about solar symbolism, right? I mean, Rudra that I talked about, he's the howler, he's the weeper who cries the solar rain, right? The weeper also sometimes like in Egypt in Egypt sometimes it was called Remi was called the weeper. And even some theologians translate that same word as meaning hellfire, right? Or it should be more specifically, it should be solar plasma fire, right? But these sounds of the light that I'm discussing, these solar storms and sounds from the sun, is what's raising volcanoes up out of the sea. And the sun and the moon and the information it's sending is to Earth is broadcasting through the electron driven chorus around Earth. It's causing earthquakes. It's causing volcanoes to rise up out of the sea and a new Earth to form, a magnetic mountain of Shem that they talked about in the ancient writings, right? This magnetic mound of Shem is the volcanoes, right? You see these mounds, these are replicated even in those burial mounds, these volcanic magnetic mountains of Shem, right? And these are just, they're symbolic, right? And just like when Persephone was taken into the other world out Mount Etna, she was taken into the volcano, right, by Pluto. She was abducted into the underworld, into the volcano. And all these structures, right? All these metaphors, mythologies, they were developed through time and given earthly names and earthly attributes, right? This is how it was developed. But I've been unveiling what scholars have been pondering over for many hundreds of years, because you can't just get it through scholarship alone. You have to get it through the life experiences out there, right? You have to go at it through the spiritual signs as well. And when you hear like the god Mitra or Mithra, and he was born in a cave, right? These caves, these are solar deities born in a cave. Does that make sense? So what light is coming out of a dark hole? These are talking about the sunspots, the black hole spots on the sun that causes light to come forth, solar storms to come out of it, right? So when you have a rock-born god, a god born in a cave like Mithra, he was born in the black holes of the sun, the spots on the sun, caves on the sun, where the divine light storm gods issue forth from, right? Like the cave that Kirke and Calypso dwell in the Greek, right? Not only on the sun, but also the volcanic crater that spits out plasma, right? Where eruptions issue forth, right? This is the place where Persephone is taken and abducted to. It's the murky mists that surround uh that Hecate floats in, or and Phobos, the far shooting lord of light, right, shoots his plasma arrows from the sun, right? This is the same as Indra. All these are the same goes with Hecate and Diana, right? And they're hounds. Even though a lot of times they're attributed to the moon, this has to do with the sun at night, right? And the magnetotail and the magnetosphere taking in some of the cattle or the dogs of the sun, right? The cattle of Indra has to do with the rays of the light. And the structures, right? You know, the gods are specific celestial objects and forces, and the attendants of the gods, the seers, the priests of the gods, are the structures that form within the celestial ocean, right? You have you have the gods that form the celestial ocean, right? That are the major objects in the celestial ocean, and you have the attendants of the gods, are all the different structures that form to help channel the streams of the powers of the gods, right? Because you have all these different attendants of the gods as well, like the maruts and all of these different attendants, right? Like the maruts are born of rudra, and the maruts are also talked about as beings of golden fire, right? They're dancing in the cosmos. And you can see some of the Marut symbolism. Let me show you guys. Some of the Marut symbolism I could show you is the same thing that you'll see in Egyptian repeated later on. And the Maruts are in the Rig Veda, they are gold, they are shining like kindled fires. And in the Sanskrit word Nrtuh, it means like a dancer, but it's also the Maruts are in the Rig Veda, they are adored in like 514 rikas, right? And the Maruts are the shrine of the kindled fires, which are metaphors of solar storms. They're metaphors of their storm divinities, and they are engaged in a process of producing golden weapons that are like thunderbolts, right? And the Maruts are metaphors of the dancing fire in the Soma Yaga, right? They're literally the attendants of the sun that help bring the knowledge of the sun, bring the force and the weapons of the sun, right? They're the sound and the dancers in the sound of the light, right? And you can see the same structures that are shown with the Maruts are are similar to the Egyptian, right? This is a Marut, the dancer, and you can see those bell-like structures that he's twisting on cords everywhere, and he's doing the cosmic dancing, right? These Maruts. And they have those bell-like, and they're translated as flowers, of course, because they're like flower bulbs. But it's look at the context. Look at the context. They wield golden weapons, right? And they're also described as dancing with golden rings around their arms. This is all symbolism of the golden loops, right? They're decorated sometimes with golden breastplates. They're dancing through the air or the cosmos, and they're identified as being a product of Rudra, right? Rudra, the solar storm deity, or the sons of Rudra, right? And very interesting, right? They're also like the Irines, like the Irines of Greek, right? The Irines is like that as well. And the number of maruts always vary, as well. They're talked about and described as very interesting. They're violent and aggressive. They're solar storms. They're described as being armed with golden weapons like lightning or thunderbolts, and they're residing in the north, right? Because in the North Pole is where we come in and get all of our most of our solar storms come in, right? And they're riding in golden chariots that are drawn by ruddy horses, right? And you have in hymn 66 of Mandala 6 of the Rig Veda, you have a very interesting rainstorm metamorphosis into a storm deity that happens. And they in the Vedic mythology, they're warriors, right? They're solar warriors, and they go on a wild hunt, just like Diana, right? And in the Rig Veda, the ancient they have ancient collections of sacred hymns of mantras to the deities, to the sun gods. They wore golden helmets and breastplates and had golden rings around their arms and stuff like this. And they would use their golden axes to split the clouds and let the cosmic rain come through. Sometimes they're even talked about as being these clouds or mists, and they're able to shake mountains and destroy forests, right? And then when you get later on, the Maruts and the Puranas, they were born from the broken womb of Diti, the goddess Diti, after Indra hurled a thunderbolt at her to stop her from giving birth to a powerful son. Incredible. So, in the story, too, the goddess intends to stay pregnant for a century before giving birth to the son that would threaten Indra in that story. Right? It's really incredible. And the Maruts are also translated as the flashing ones or the shining ones. Incredible. Right? So they are children of the solar ocean, the heavenly ocean. And they are armed with golden weapons and thunderbolts and lightnings. This is sun. This is the sun, right? And like roaring like lions with iron teeth and thunderbolts and stuff coming out of it. I mean, it's incredible, right? And they're associated with the god of the winds, the solar winds. And these Maruts are very similar to the Irines of Greek and very other deities like the Shu and Shu and Tefnut in Egyptian, very similar as well, right? Do I have any other pictures of the Maruts in here? Oh, this is one of the Maruts as well, riding in that solar ocean. Incredible. We're going to be doing another podcast on this very soon, everybody. Remember, this is the Space Water Podcast where you dive into the sound of the light, and we are sponsored by the Mystical Spiral Store.com. You guys, I'll be live. I'll be at a booth today in Ringwood, New Jersey. I'll be having a booth at the Psychic Fair of Ringwood, New Jersey, but you could go to the Mystical Spiral store here at any time and get the most ethically sourced, highest quality products that you can find. Also, We have all new products up every day. I put new products up, guys. You can get wholesale, retail, whatever you want from me. Just contact me if you want custom made orders as well. The Herkimer diamonds are next level. I hand carved the dragons for you guys, and we have even mini Himalayan quartz. And I'm telling you, this shungite, guys, I might not ever be able to get. I don't think you could find it anywhere else either. These shungites you can't find anywhere else, and I don't know if I'll be able to get them ever again. This type of collector's grade shungite. You guys can see the rainbow on these, and this is over 44 inches of twisted silver copper. That's in these mega bastet pieces. I got a few of them made already like this, and I might even sell them some of them today at the fair. So I would get them as quick as possible. Um, the Vivianite ones, oh my God, these are, and like I said, these have over 44 inches of twisted copper. These are just next level, and I have all price ranges available for you guys. If you guys don't want to get the more high-end ones, you can get the smaller ones that aren't the twisted copper. Look, $37. You can get shungite pendant, and this has got rainbow on it as well. Really cool. I highly recommend the shungite. Even if you're not into gemstones and crystals, the shungite and silver, copper, and silver and regular copper, just incredible for EMF protection. And you can get all different ones. We got all different kinds here of shungite, all different things available. Really cool. The rainbow moonstone. We got pretty much everything you're looking for, everybody. Every day I'm putting more stuff up too. And the Herkimer diamonds are just intense. Yeah, these little skulls went quick. I have more selenite slabs. I got to put more up. This one was just bought the other day, but there's more I got to put up. If you guys see something that's out of stock that you're looking for, just let me know, and I probably have more in inventory. Each day I put up more items. Thank you guys for joining. We're going to be going live again tonight. I mean, tomorrow night on the Space Border podcast. You guys can find me today in Ringwood, New Jersey. I've been taking the last few weeks to work on a lot of work, and I've been working on my book. So we're going to be going deep into a lot of these topics, and we're going to get into Fatima as well. I didn't really have a chance to get into it this morning because we went pretty deep into some of the other stuff, but you guys can see the near Earth objects, everything that we went into today. You guys do your own digging and you'll see almost all of those near Earth objects, if not all of them, have the same markings on them. That is incredible. Thank you guys for joining me. This is the Space Water Podcast where we dive into the sound of the light. We'll see you next time.